Hey, this is Corey from Wolfpack Woodcraft, and I try to help you become a little more self-reliant in each video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about skills I feel everyone should have, and I'm going to associate YouTube channels that specify in each of those topics to really help you learn as much as possible, because knowledge is power. Being able to versify your knowledge of a lot of different things helps you in so many different ways. If I have a socket and wrench to tighten the legs on this table, there's a good chance that I have sockets and wrench to take the lug nuts off my car, right? The same set can be used for both. And so if I have knowledge in one area and I can transfer it to another area and another area and another area, the more I can accomplish on my own without having to rely on outside help. And so the first topic I want to talk about is how to fix your house. Having a home, having a shelter that you can keep and maintain, and an area that's yours is very important. And when it comes to fixing and maintaining it, one of the best channels that I have found, the one that I use the most, is This Old House. I think the channel is actually called Ask This Old House, where you ask them a question and then they solve it. But the amount of information they have is crazy. Like, if you have a problem, the solution is probably on their YouTube channel. And the other thing that I find fascinating is I remember my dad watching This Old House a long time when I was a little kid. He would watch it on the TV, and he would learn different things when it was Bob Vila and Norm Macdonald. He would learn things watching on TV, and now I'm watching it on YouTube and learning things about my house and how to fix things and repair things and paint and electrical and plumbing and water heaters and just everything there is to know. There's probably a video on it on This Old House, and I have learned a ton watching it, and I highly recommend. If you own a home, or if you're interested in someday owning a home, or if you just don't like calling, if you have an apartment and you don't like the maintenance person, I highly recommend This Old House. They can teach you a lot. The other channel is Honest Carpenter. Honest Carpenter, he goes through a lot of the different tools, a lot of the different processes. I've learned a lot from the Honest Carpenter when it comes to the different tools, the different trades, the different ways of doing things. He has a lot of really great information, and he's saved me a lot of money because I learned what the different like nail guns were, and so I bought the one that I needed. Instead of trial and error, I was able to learn what I needed and get the exact one that was best suited for the situation I needed it for. So I really like the Honest Carpenter as well. Again, I will link every single channel I mentioned in the description box down below. The second thing that I think is very important is being able to fix your own vehicles. Now, even if you don't have a driveway, even if you don't have a place to fix a vehicle, I still think it's important that you understand the process, because the more you learn about fixing a vehicle, the more you can diagnose what's wrong with it, right? And so if it's making a weird noise, instead of bringing it to the mechanic, you might just have to feel the tire pressure. You know, if something is happening and you understand, oh, I just need to add oil, or I just need to do this, or it can save you a ton of money because you don't always have to go to the mechanic, right? You can fix some things without taking the tires off. You can fix some things by just reconnecting a hose or changing out a belt, or there are simple things that you can do even without a garage, even without a driveway. There are simple things that you can do that will save you money. And one of the best channels is Chris Fix. Now, Chris Fix, my favorite thing about Chris Fix is that he does everything in his driveway with hand tools. Okay? One of the YouTube traps that mechanics fall into, or carpenters, or any trades, is they start off with hand tools, right? Because it's what they have. They have nothing else. They have hand tools. And then as their channel grows and they start getting sponsors and they start getting more income and more everything, all of a sudden they have a shop with a lift and all these super expensive tools, and they go from using hand tools to do basic things to, oh, we're going to rebuild a whole entire engine in one afternoon, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. It's not easy. It's easy because you have a lift and $1 million worth of tools. It's not easy for me in my driveway, right? Chris Fix, he has the tools, but like the expensive tools, but he only uses them off camera. Everything he does on camera to show you exactly what you need to do to replace a transmission, rebuild an engine, replace a wheel bearing, a drive belt, everything that he does on camera, he does with basic hand tools, right? He'll use the more expensive tools off camera to, you know, if he's taking all 4 tires off, he will show you how to take the one off with basic hand tools that everybody should have, and then he'll take the other 3 off camera with an impact, right? And so he does have the expensive tools, but on camera, he doesn't use them, and I appreciate that so much because, again, he'll rebuild an engine. He tears out a transmission. He replaces a transmission. He rebuilds a transmission, and he's using basic hand tools and showing you how to do it. And I really like his channel a lot. I've learned so much from watching Chris Fix. The other one is Scotty KILMER. Now, Scotty KILMER is all about, he's been a mechanic for like 40 years. Okay, so he has a ton of knowledge, and he just wants to share that knowledge. And the biggest thing that I get from Scotty KILMER is he knows the difference between the cheap stuff and the good stuff, right? The expensive stuff. And there are times where the cheap stuff is better. Save the money, buy the cheap stuff. But there are other times where you need to buy the expensive stuff, because if you buy the cheap one, you're going to be buying 100 of them. They're going to burn out. They're not going to work. They're not going to do what they're supposed to do. Just spend the money on this thing because it's important. And he tells you the difference. He's very honest. He's very open. And he will. He just wants to save you as much money as possible. And if that means you have to buy the expensive one because it's going to last 100,000 miles and you're never going to have to worry about it again, he's going to tell you that, because you're going to have to, this one might be $100, right? This one's 10, but you're going to replace it 20 times to replacing this one once. Well, 10 times 20 is $200. It's going to cost you twice as much money buying the cheap one as it is the expensive one. And he knows the difference. He's seen it happen because of his 40 years of experience. And so I really appreciate that about Scotty KILMER, and that he's full of knowledge, and he's just sharing it with everyone. And I really like that. The other one is 1A Auto. Now, 1A Auto is a channel that is about a company that sells parts. Okay, they sell auto parts. And so they have a lot of videos on the specific parts that they sell. And so with Scotty KILMER and Chris Fix, they will show you how to replace a wheel bearing, right? And they'll take whatever vehicle is in front of them and they'll replace the wheel bearing, and they're all pretty similar, right? So if you watch one, you can do most of them. With 1A Auto, they will do like they sell a wheel bearing, a front right wheel bearing for an '02 Jeep Wrangler. You can see exactly what they're doing. So if you own an '02 Jeep Wrangler, you can see exactly what they're doing to replace that, right? And then they have a wheel bearing for like a Trailblazer and a wheel bearing for whatever else. And so like a car and the Silverado and F-150, you know, like they have the specific make and models. They don't have all of them, of course. Like it would take years and years and years to get all of the vehicles, but they do have a ton. And so even if it is, like if you have a Jeep Wrangler, but it's the same as a Jeep Liberty or a Jeep Cherokee, right? You can kind of see how the Jeep is different than all the other ones. And so I really like the specific make and model that the 1A Auto presents in their videos. All right, next thing is keeping your house clean. All right, being clean really goes into, it not only goes into having a clean environment that you're proud of and that keeps your mental health going. And it's also about like health wise. You don't want to be breathing in mold and all these other things. You need to have a clean house. You don't want rodents running around or insects, ants and mice and different things. You need to keep a clean house, but it also helps maintain the integrity of your home, right? If you have mice chewing through your electrical wires, it's going to be super expensive to replace. It's going to be super expensive to go in and repair and fix. It's going to be a pain in the butt. And so having a clean home is very important. And I feel a lot of people don't talk about it, especially in the prepper, self-reliant community. I don't think anybody talks about it. And it is extremely important. Cleaning can save you a ton of money. Cleaning can keep you healthy and help boost your immune system. Cleaning can help with your mental health and your mental abilities. And so I really feel it's an important skill everyone should have. And one of my favorite people is Angela Brown from Ask a Housekeeper. And Angela Brown, she has a house cleaning service, right? She has a house cleaning business. And when it comes to owning a house cleaning business, you want to be as fast and efficient as possible. And the way to become fast and efficient is to make things easy, right? If you use these chemicals, you can clean a lot faster than if you use those chemicals. If you use these tools, you can clean faster and more efficiently than if you use those tools. And she uses that professional mindset to help people clean inside their own homes, because a lot of times people don't clean the oven because it takes forever. You know what I mean? And when you own a business, you have to be able to clean the oven as fast as possible so you can go clean another oven, because the more ovens you clean, the more money you make, right? And so she's found very fast, very easy ways of cleaning an oven so that she could make more money, but she tells you how she does it so that you can do it fast and efficiently, so it's not an all-day thing. It's not something that sucks and I hate doing it. When it's fast and convenient and easy, you just, all right, I'm going to spend an hour, I'm going to get it done, and I can move on with my life. And I really appreciate that about Angela Brown. And she has a lot of different tools and chemicals and cleaning things that are, if you have pets, you need to use completely different chemicals than if you don't have pets, right? There are chemicals that work better but are toxic to animals. And so she has to have both, because if she walks into a home that has cats or dogs, she can't use the chemicals that work the best just because they work the best. She needs to use the ones that are less toxic to animals, and she knows that difference, and she's studied the differences, and she's found the answers that most of us are looking for, and I really appreciate that about Angela Brown. The other channel is Clean My Space. Now, Clean My Space is more about the organic way of doing things. So where Angela Brown finds the chemicals so that they can get it clean, move on to the next home. Clean My Space is more about the baking soda and the vinegar and cleaning things more thoroughly and efficiently, and using what you have to clean different things. And so the Clean My Space is more budget oriented because you're using what you have, right? You're not buying the specialty tools. You're not buying the specialty chemicals to do as fast and easy and as thorough as possible so you can move on. Clean My Space, you're going to invest the time, but you're going to use the budget things. You're going to use a standard mop and bucket. You're not going to use the fancy stuff that Angela Brown has. You're going to be using basic things. Angela Brown does talk about the budget as well, but Clean My Space kind of focuses more on the stuff we would have after a collapse, right? Crud Cutter probably isn't going to keep making stuff after a collapse. Neither one of them are prepared mindset or anything. But as for me, Angela Brown, I have access to the chemicals. I'm going to use them, make my life easy. Clean My Space, she does things with baking soda and vinegar. There's probably always going to be baking soda and vinegar. They're going to keep producing that no matter what. I'm probably always going to be able to have access to that. Having access to different cleaning things, like using toothbrushes instead of the special brushes. I'm probably always going to have access to toothbrushes. There are way more toothbrushes in the world right now than there are specialty brushes for different things. And so I kind of use them interchangeably. Angela Brown is more for I have access to these materials, but if I ever lose access to these materials, Clean My Space shows me how to use other things or alternative things that I will always have access to. So I do appreciate both of them. They are very different, but there's a lot of knowledge watching both of them. You need to make your own furniture, and it's not just make your own furniture. It's more about fixing what you already own, right? If my entertainment breaks, if I understand how the cabinets are put together, I understand how the cabinetry works and what it takes to build it, I can probably fix it. You know what I mean? Or if I need a replacement piece of wood, I understand the structural integrity of that piece needs to be this thick or that thick, or it needs to be able to handle a certain load, right? Like this table right here can hold more weight than my entertainment center. You know what I mean? And I need to understand those differences. And so one of them that I really like is 3x3 Custom. And Tamer, she runs that channel and she builds different things. She builds all sorts of different things. Now she does have a lot of the tools that most of us don't have. She has a planer. She has a lot of power tools. She has a lot of jigs. She has a lot of things that we don't have access to. But again, we're not building this stuff from scratch. We're just kind of fixing it. And so watching her put things together, she does do things that are very simple. Like she uses dowel rods for drawer slides, and there are techniques that she uses that really help you understand different ways of doing things, a more easy way of doing things. And again, it's one of that, I'm not going to have access to drawer slides always, but dowel rods, those are pretty easy to find. Or I could use a stick. If I have a straight stick, I could turn that into a dowel rod. And so it just gets you thinking outside the box, and I really like that about 3x3 Custom. The other one is Matt ESTLEA. I don't know how it's Matt. I don't know how to say his last name, but again, it will be linked in the description box down below. And the thing I like about him is he really thinks outside the box. Like he really goes out there and he really tries to do things, and he uses hand tools for most everything. Like a lot of the stuff that he does is basic hand tools. He teaches you how to sharpen chisels. He teaches you how to take care of your tools. He teaches you the importance of different tools, and I really like that about Matt. And like a river table. So when you think of a river table, you think of an epoxy with the blue in it. He makes a river table. It has water that runs through it, right? It's like a real river that runs through the table. And he thinks outside the box, and he does things differently, and he uses his tools in different ways. And I really appreciate that about Matt, is that when it comes to thinking differently and looking at a problem in a completely different frame of mind and from a completely different perspective, that's the channel you want to watch. It's very entertaining. The other thing is when it comes to buying tools, you're going to need to buy tools for all these different skills. There's only one channel that I watch when it comes to buying tools, and that's Project Farm. And Project Farm takes like tape measures, okay? He'll buy tape measures from a bunch of different companies at a bunch of different price ranges, and he'll test them all and see which ones perform, which ones don't, which ones are junk, which ones are awesome. And it's crazy how you have like the budget stuff, you have like the middle of the road and the expensive. It's crazy how many times the middle of the road is better than the super expensive stuff. You always have that like one super expensive thing that's just blows the competition away. But there are like middle of the road ones that are better than some of the super expensive ones. And you have some of the budget friendly ones that are better than the middle of the road ones. And it's fun watching him show you the differences. And he spends a ton of money on all these tools and all these different things. But he tests shop vacs, drills, oscillating tools, tape measures, jumper packs, I bought a jumper pack based on his recommendation. I didn't buy it. That's the thing I like about it too, is he found the best one, right? He's like, this is the best one. This is the best one for the money. This is, if you can't afford anything, this is going to be the least one you should buy. You should spend at least this much and get at least this one, right? And he has the 3. But you'll see some that are kind of between that. Like the one that he recommended was like $300, but then the next one was like $150, and he recommended this $50 one that was kind of in between them. And so I bought the $150 one because I knew it was better, but you know what I mean? Like I could see the differences and I could see how it performed. And the thing I was, okay, so I bought a jumper pack. And the thing is I bought a GB40, which was highly recommended. Everybody loves the GB40. And I bought it, and living in Minnesota, I need the jumpers in winter, right? The batteries freeze and you need to jump them, and that GB40 didn't work in the extreme cold. Like it didn't work. And like the only time I needed it was in the extreme cold. And so then I watched the Project Farm, and there was a Gulu, I don't remember which one it is, but the Gulus did the best. And they did the best in the cold weather. So I bought that because it did the best in the cold weather. Again, I didn't buy the one that he recommended. I bought the next one down. But that thing has been a lifesaver. I'm going to do a video on just that. It's my favorite thing. I love it. It performs. It's negative 40 degrees outside. And instead of trying to figure out how to get the jumper cables and everything fixed up, you just hook it up, push the button, start the car, get back in your warm vehicle. I love it. I'll do a video on it. Project Farm really has helped me buy the tools that I actually need and save money by not wasting money on tools that I thought I need that weren't exactly what I thought they were. I really, really highly recommend everybody watch Project Farm. Next is cooking. Now, cooking is one of those things that I think in 2020 it really brought a lot of people brought attention to cooking because you couldn't go out, you couldn't go to the restaurants, you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't get the food, and so cooking became a part of everybody's life. But nobody really knows how to cook. My favorite cooking channel is the Hillbilly Kitchen. The Hillbilly Kitchen makes like hillbilly stuff, which is like old American food. The biscuits and gravy, the pancakes, the blueberry pancakes, the apple fritters, the apple pie, the chicken fried steak, and country gravy. And I really like Hillbilly Kitchen. But the other ones that I have, a lot of the things that we do are from the Hillbilly Kitchen, like the things that we personally make at home. Like we just made apple fritters the other day using the Hillbilly Kitchen's recipe and techniques that we found in her videos. I really like the Hillbilly Kitchen. But one that Caroline really likes is Cowboy Kent Rolls. And Cowboy Kent Rolls, he makes a lot of that same old American food, but he does it over an open fire, out on the range. You know, it's more of a traditional way of doing it. The problem is like he uses cast iron. We don't have cast iron. He has a big old cast iron kettle. We don't have an old cast iron kettle. We don't have the ability to start a big rip-roaring fire in our yard. You know what I mean? Like like if we were going to make dinner, we're not going to go outside and start a big roaring fire all the time. But when it comes to the Hillbilly Kitchen, using a normal kitchen, we can cook those old Great Depression, 100-year-old recipes that people use to stretch their food out, just like the apple fritters. The reason we made apple fritters is because we had apples that no one were eating. And instead of letting them go bad and throwing them away and wasting them, we made apple fritters. Banana bread, when your bananas are starting to go bad, instead of letting them go bad, you make apple bread or banana bread. You know what I mean? And so I really like the Hillbilly Kitchen. Cowboy Kent Rolls is very fascinating to watch, and if you are going back to cooking over an open fire, there's a lot of knowledge that he shares on that, and it is important knowledge, and so I do watch it, and he is very entertaining. He dances around and has fun. And I really like Cowboy Kent Rolls, But when it comes to a more modern way of doing things, I like the Hillbilly Kitchen. And then the Alaskan Granny. Now, the Alaskan Granny isn't a cooking channel. She's a prepper channel. But she uses her preps, right? So she's not cooking. She's cooking with canned foods. She's cooking with ramen noodles. She's cooking with all the stuff that we put away for a rainy day. She's making recipes with that stuff. You know what I mean? And so you're not, when you don't have access to the grocery store, if you're stuck inside your home and you have canned peas and canned corn and all these canned stuff that you've prepared, right? We're preppers, we prepare to help us become self-reliant. She uses that stuff, right? So she's not going to the grocery store and getting flour and getting this and that. She's using the beans, she's using the rice, she's using the canned goods, and I really like that about Alaskan Granny. And then the last thing when it comes to being self-reliant is we need to take care of our health. And one of the ways of taking care of our health is understanding how health works. What is causing the different things? What is a way to avoid the different things? And there's two channels that I watch. Now the first one is Talking with Docs. Talking with Docs is simply just a couple doctors from Canada, and they talk about a lot of different things. They talk about the difference between ibuprofen and Tylenol. They talk about the difference between high blood pressure and low blood pressure, and they talk about what high blood pressure does, how to avoid it, what causes it. You know, they just talk about all the topics that we need to know to become healthy, stay healthy. If we do have high blood pressure, how often should we be going to the doctor? How often should we be checking our blood pressure? There's a lot of information that they share, and I really like that channel. The second channel that I'm going to mention comes with a warning. So the second channel is Institute of Human Anatomy. Now, they go through a lot of the same things, but they're going to be talking about the human body, and they use cadavers. Okay, they have access to bodies that they dissect, and they pull out the stomach, they pull out the liver, the lungs, and they show you real life examples, like real life examples from real life cadavers. And so some people, like Caroline, doesn't like watching that one at all because it grosses her out. I find it extremely fascinating, and I have learned quite a bit. It's not gruesome, it's not bloody and gross, but they do show you real life examples, and they show you exactly what's happening to your body. When you take ibuprofen, what exactly is it doing, and how is it traveling through the system? Where is it going? What is it doing? How does the bladder function? How does the stomach function? They're showing you all the functionality of everything, and just that it's basic understanding. It's very basic on how the body works, but seeing it helps me understand it a lot clearer and a lot better, right? The bladder holds urine. That's pretty basic. Like, everybody knows that. But how and why and what does it have to do to accomplish what it accomplishes, and where is it going, and what is it doing, and how much can it store, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of there's the basic information, and then Institute of Human Anatomy takes it to the next step, right? There's the basic information that you need to know, but then there's all this other information around it, and when you understand all the other information around it, you're like, oh, okay, all right, so now I kind of understand how bladder infections work, right? I kind of understand how all these different things, like why they happen, how to avoid them. I can kind of see what's happening, and for me personally, I get a better understanding of how things work with the examples that they show. So it's not for everyone. I'm not going to recommend it for everyone, but if it fascinates you and you're interested in it, I would recommend that one. But all the rest of these, I do recommend for everyone. These are great channels. People put in a lot of work to make them what they are today, and so I do recommend all the other ones. I think they're great for everyone to watch, everyone to gain that knowledge that they need to become self-reliant. I will link to every single one in the comment section down below, or not in the comment section, in the description box down below, and I can't wait to see you on my next video.